All right, welcome to the 30th podcast, the HSL Let's Go podcast. Glenn, why don't you take it away?
Mr. Koenig, Yehuda Koenig, softball legendary pitcher for the last 27 years. How many years has it been, Koenig?
Seems like too many, but that's about right.
Well, we want to take this opportunity to officially welcome you to the Softball Hall of Fame. This is not a joke. The commissioners of the league, David and Avi, have decided to establish a Hall of Fame. Steve, you're twisted sideways. And Steve and I were asked to help. And so you are in the first group of inductees into the Hall of Fame. This is a big thing, Koenig. This goes on your resume.
Koenig, this is the biggest honor
getting all your kids married. You never know.
Is this on the permanent record?
It's on your permanent record. It's very well deserved. The first group is only going to be a handful of people, and you're one of them. And with that, I want to turn it over to, I guess, Colin will take the next part of this.
Yes, Yehuda. So congratulations. The initial inductee class were who Avi and David consider legends of the game, and the eligibility are they have to still be playing in the current league as of right now. So you and your amazing record, your major championships, and you've switched to a very effective outfielder. You are now congratulatory entrance into the Jewish Softball Hall of Fame. So welcome aboard.
Well, thanks, Steve. I mean, I guess there's we made it a very specific group. It's like you got to be old enough, you got to still be playing.
You have to be playing 12.
The first class of inductees we specifically limited to playing at least 12 years or more, and still currently playing, and obviously have the talent and the abilities in order to make it. But this is the goal of this, which is really driven by Glenn and Steve. Is really, it seems like a funny thing, but we really want to make it where it's a community. That could be like an example, like in a lot of the Syrian leagues in Jersey. Every year they have an in-person Hall of Fame season recap where they induct one or two players into the Hall of Fame. You have 60, 70 guys showing up for some fancy dinner. So the point is really to create a community, and in 20 years from now, look back and see these guys are, so we're starting it up now. Now that Dave and I took over the league, we want to really create and make it more than just going out and playing softball. So we inducted 3 others, which we'll get to, but we wanted to let you know.
I feel like unfortunately, David and Avi, I'd say more Avi. Steve, I think I'm going to still be pitching. So hopefully we're going to split a championship this Sunday.
You've been pitching great.
But no. I'm saying I hope we're going to be splitting a championship this Sunday. That'll be great.
That's the plan.
But I got to say that I appreciate it. It's my question is, by Glenn and Steve being on the board, do they have to abstain in voting for themselves?
No, we were actually we were inducted at birth, and here we are.
Yehuda, I had a very similar question about that because you may or may not be aware that Glenn is a Seneca legend. And please turn your cap around, Glenn.
That's why he bought that, to make sure that they went and bought the camp.
So I just found out. I was talking. I know Glenn's sister-in-law, and she tells me that her husband and Glenn bought the camp, and this really calls into question the conflict of interest around his appointment as a Seneca legend. So there's something similar here.
Well, I'm just gonna tell you all that unlike Steve and I, who performed unbelievably well before Avi's eyes against him over the last number of years, Koenig's best years were, about 10 years ago when he was when he was the most dominant pitcher in the tri-state area. Steve, I'm sorry, but he was. He won 4 out of 5 championships in the Sunday League. He was the most dominant pitcher.
I'm breaking up.
Yeah, exactly. And he won 4 out of 5 championships. He can give you all of his stats. Unlike Ash, who pretends he doesn't remember anything, Koenig remembers everything. And he can tell you who made the last out in each of those championships. We may get one of those people on the phone soon. And he'll also tell you his batting stats, which back then were very respectable. He actually had a cycle in one game, I remember. But and he also fields his position about as well as anyone I've ever seen. So it's been a pleasure for me personally to play together with Koenig and behind Koenig for 20, maybe 30 plus years. We started like in the late 90s, didn't we?
We did. I will say this, Glenn, not to cut you off, but I will say that Glenn and I were actually talking about this recently. I think Glenn is the only person, and I'm being very serious when I say this because somehow I've always ended up playing against others. Glenn is the only person, like if you looked at his lifetime stats against me, it's like 0 for 0. I think he's the only. I'm being serious, Glenn, right?
Yeah,
We talked about this.
I've never played against Koenig in a real game.
We only played in like when we were getting ready for our championships. We used to go split squad, and I would play against our lineup in Great Neck. That was always fun.
It's
Do you
true.
remember the game, Glenn, where you guys threw in the corker ball?
Yes, yes. It was a great gag back
Is
then.
that is that a gold ball, the corker ball?
No,
Worse
it's the
than the
next
goal.
level up.
next
Wow.
next level up? And the cork, and he didn't know what Koenig didn't know what was happening, but everyone was smoking the ball off him with a sound. He was like, "What's going on here?" So yeah, we got him pretty good on that one.
It was a good gag. It
We
was
got him
pretty
pretty
funny.
good. So Koenig, I'm not going to leave you guessing as to who else we're going to be inducting. Steve, are you able to get anyone else on?
I got a pretty good idea.
Steve?
Yeah.
Let me guess. You got Steve Weil coming on,
Go on.
right? That would be a fairly good guess. And for 12 years, oh
Yeah,
boy,
and you got-
And still
the
playing
two-
Sunday mornings.
you got to have David Abish.
Wow.
Well,
You
I
guys-
mean, they're
No, I'm saying it's cool. You guys really know the.
well, they really limited the criteria here.
That's true. That's true. That's a good point. Currently
Well,
playing.
Yehuda, there's a logic for that. I think the logic is that, it gives more interest and credibility to the whole endeavor because, like, everybody currently playing can attest to yourself and Glenn and Steve's talent level and competitiveness and, winning. So it kind of helps bridge the old and the new. And then once the class is established, you guys will be voting on
The next class.
the next class. So there could be somebody who played 25 years ago with you guys who was 55 at the time. The great Schreiber you guys talk about. I don't know if he's playoff.
Wow, yeah, he was good.
What did he say?
He was good.
He was
We're
good,
not
right?
going to
but-
name names right now, but you will have a vote, an equal vote in future people who are nominated within this group, and you need three quarters, 75% to gain eligibility, which for some of these people will not be hard at all, and we'll take it from there. But I think unless Steve, I said I can deliver Koenig on this podcast like at a moment's notice. Steve said he can deliver Abish, but is Abish here? I haven't seen Abish.
I haven't been able to.
Right,
They haven't answered my texts.
The truth is, I will say, Glenn, there's almost nothing wouldn't do for each other. I mean, serious. Like we really play. I know we kibitz a lot and all, but you are probably the longest standing teammate I have that I've played
Exactly.
with. And
So I will. You want me to try to get Abish on the phone, Steve? Maybe he'll answer for me.
that would be really funny, Steve. Steve, that's going to be a bad look if he
No,
can
they
get him.
haven't. They haven't. They haven't answered my text, but maybe if you call them.
Steve
Fine.
texted. Steve didn't call.
I texted.
Did you tell him there's a doubleheader starting at North Woodmere in 20 minutes?
He definitely wouldn't pick up to that.
All right, I'm texting Abish right now.
Avi, I will say, Avi, it's funny. Avi, how many years are you playing now?
5.
Wow.
I think this is my 5th year.
How old are you?
27.
You got like Aaron Judge. You got a late start.
Well, I was away in yeshiva in base measures for 3 years. So
Very
I got
nice.
back from base measures. No, maybe 6 years. I started when I was 21, so 6 years.
How about you, David?
I don't think that long, Avi. I don't think you've been
Oh,
playing that.
5?
I don't think so.
I mean, it's 5.
You think so?
David, how about yourself?
A little more than that, 7 or 8 years. I'm older than Avi. I'm 37. But I had a circuitous path towards softball, towards these leagues. I'm relatively new to them.
Well,
Also.
not to lament, I actually feel like it's your age group that's been the problem. And if you let me explain, I think about 10 years ago, there's always been a steady influx of talent. And I look at guys like Avi Edelman, really. And again, I'm not here just saying because you're here, but you guys came in your first year and you got beat up pretty good. And there's a staying power that it really takes to join an A-League. It's really, really hard because it's such a hard barrier of entry. We have this with the Sunday League, and I find that the group that's like 34 to 38, they just stopped playing softball. And there was no group that came in, and that's kind of, I think, what really cooked the Sunday League. And I give you guys a ton of credit. Steve and I have really talked about this a lot. Like,
Yep.
And Avi, I got to tell you, when this year, week 1, you insisted that we played, there were a lot of 4-letter words thrown around, but Steve, did I not call you after and say, this guy knows what he's doing? Like, this is the way you got to come in.
I agree. I thought he did a fantastic job running this whole thing.
Yeah,
Not
in that
easy.
first game, we all know what happened. Steve had a no-hitter, and somebody dropped the ball at first base. Let's just cut to the chase.
Glenn, I was saying I was really a lot of credit because it's so easy, and a lot of it is that guys stop playing. But now it seems like, Avi, your group has like reignited the leagues, thank God.
Yeah,
Because
that's what we're trying to do. I don't want no more Monday night
We're
leagues
hoping
with 4
that
teams. I want to get to 6
continues
legit
into the night
teams.
league.
yeah. But think about that, Avi. Look how hard it is to join it, to bring in a team that can play. You need somebody to either go on their own who's like a real talent, like a Steve or an Ash, who could then, bring 4 or 5 guys, but they have to be willing to lose for a year because, they may come with 3 or 4 guys, but you now need the other 3 or 4 guys after that.
No, you hit it right. You hit it right on the head. There are so many people I speak to who have teams that are solid. They're not going to go They're not going to go 6-2. They'll probably go 2-6, 3-5. And then the next year maybe they'll go 4-4. But every year you pick up 1 or 2 guys, and then you're most sports winning a championship in your second or third year. Like it's so frustrating. Guys aren't willing to go into the season knowing that 80-90% they're going to have a losing record, or at least maybe not make the playoffs, or for sure not win. Like they're not willing to do it.
Wow.
What is going on here?
Wow.
I don't know. I was told I need to clear something up, so here I am.
You want me to take the lead again, guys?
Yes, you
Go
did.
for it,
Glenn, how
Glenn.
are you?
Great job,
Don't
Glenn.
crash your car.
First of all, let me just see who's here. Yeah, I think I respect everyone so far.
Well,
You
Koenig's
need
on
me.
here.
See, that's the nicest thing you ever said to me.
Come on. What's going on, guys?
All
Talk to
right.
me.
I guess I'll start, and we'll. So, Tzvi, through the guidance of the commissioners of the Sunday Softball League, they are creating a Hall of Fame, a Jewish softball Hall of Fame, and the first class of inductees include you. And so we wanted to congratulate you. Very well deserved. It's a resume builder. It will be something that you'll be able to proudly show off to all those that know you and who remember you as being the most dominant hitter for a lot of years. And
Do you have me
still
as a
playing.
pitcher?
Not as a pitcher. Not as a pitcher. But the reality is, and I'll turn it over to Steve next. But the reality is that I was saying this to the guys when during your, let's call it, peak years, when I'm playing in the right side of the field, whether it's first or second, and you come up, I have an oh shit in my head that pardon my language, that this guy's about to smoke a ball right at first or second and take us out. So you definitely had and still do have among the strongest pull bat I've seen in a long time, if ever. So I wanted.
By the
to
way, today,
congratulate you.
now the third baseman's shitting their pants.
Can I tell you something funny? So 2 things.
Catcher.
Glenn, 2 things. 2 things on that. See, so first of all, if I was pitching, I was also nervous that you were going to hit it to Glenn because, that wouldn't be great. But actually, I want to tell you one funny thing, Glenn. I played against Svi. He probably doesn't remember this because he was already a legend then. But when I was like 18 or 19.
If it's a change-up, I remember it.
No, do you remember I pitched against you? I was in my Nauvoo. And you brought up Charlie's Angels with Duvy Deitch. And we never lost a game before. We beat everybody, the Lobos. And then Svi comes up, this dark, good-looking guy playing first base. And his last at bat, he gets up there. And Zevi Hendelis was the catcher, and we pitched him inside all day because the trees are very deep in right field in Manavu. And I shook him off, and I was the genius that decided to throw Tzvi an outside pitch in Manavu, and it was the only lefty I ever gave up a home run to in those trees. And it happened really fast. One pitch, boom.
Didn't Tzvi make the last out in one of our playoff games or finals games in the cage in Queens?
No, the last out was, and this goes to what you said before, Tzvi struck out in the extra innings, and the next inning, Neil Ostroff hit into a double play, third to first.
There we go. I wasn't clear about that, but Svi obviously doesn't remember that. That's been,
Neither
like,
am I.
eliminated from his brain. Well, anyway, Stevie, we wanted to obviously have you on to congratulate you, and just to let you know that not only are you in the Hall of Fame, but you will be voting on future candidates into the Hall of Fame. So we'll be nominating a few extra people. Your input is going to be equal share with everyone that's on here, and we obviously think that this is something that's going to grow. It's going to create a community, and the commissioners here are really behind this. So obviously, thank you to them for putting this together.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Like
Do we give out
just,
jackets? Do we have jackets?
we're deciding. What do we
I'm
do? Are we
pushing it to
doing
get
jackets?
hoodies.
Are we doing what are we
Zip-ups.
doing? Zip ups is a big argument we've been having of what we're rewarding our Hall of Famers with. We got to decide still. We haven't decided yet, but there definitely will be something. Again, the point is just to create that community. I can't be saying the same thing over again because on the podcast people seem to say the same community rant 5 times through all of our calls. But we want to
No,
create
it's
a
good.
community.
It's good to say it, Avi, because I think softball it's a big part of a lot of people's lives. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes into it with family and waking up on that Sunday in March, like you're talking about, Glenn. And it really is a big part of people's lives. And I think something that me and Avi have really been impressed with Glenn and Steve is they really own that it's a big part of their life. They're not afraid of it and they want to win. And it sounds like you guys also. So it's good to kind of recognize that and honor that. Sports is a big part of people's lives, and kind of honoring those who have spent a lot of time in the pursuit of that excellence, I think, is really special, and to create the community like you're talking about, Avi.
And look at all the friends we make on and off
we
the
have an
field.
update?
It starts on the field and it moves off the field. And, honestly, there's so many guys that I have so much respect for on the field and even more so off the field. Because when you get to know them, you realize that there's just a lot of good guys out there. And, even we have this tournament coming up, and right away I told Steve, I said, "Where's Glenn? We need Glenn." I don't think I ever played with him. I don't think I ever played
know,
on a team
right?
with Glenn.
I'm
So,
trying to clear my
it's-
calendar. It's not a no, definitely not yet, but I'm trying.
Guys, I need your team. I need your team to win because the team that cut me won the RSK championship without me after cutting me. So if they win 2 in a row, then I'm dead in the water forever. So they cannot
didn't need a
cannot
first
win
string
this
pitcher?
one. I was a pitcher for this tournament team. We won the championship, their first ever RSK tournament. The second RSK tournament, my wife was 2 days overdue. I was still playing, and she literally went into labor 30 seconds after the championship game ended, but we lost the Diamond team, like 9-2. The following year, they wanted to get better. They picked up these 2 guys who I personally have a very bad relationship with, our Coil League, and they basically demanded that if they joined the team, they bring their own pitcher and I'd be off the team. So they kicked me off the team, and then I lost to them in the semifinals in the RSK tournament this year, and they ended up winning the championships also. So if they now win this championship, I'm dead. I'm toast.
Avi is the Ewing theory of our league, for those who know Bill Simmons.
So just don't let them win.
So guys,
Just to
whoever
let
you
you know, I don't think Steve knew what the criteria was that he qualified for the Hall of Fame, but you had to play more than 12 years. You had to win championships. You had to be, among, if not the best players during a formidable part of your career. And you have to still be playing now in the Sunday Softball League. So that's how we sort of started. Obviously, we're going to be going back into yesteryear and some of the legends that you played with and we all played against and whatnot. And we'll be talking about those people in another call. But
Awesome.
for now, we have 2 others that fall into the category that we're going to try to get on here. Obviously, Steve doesn't have control of his boys, so I'm going to try to help him out.
yes, we also, and Koenig, we didn't tell you this, we wanted to also have representation from the 3 major franchises that won pretty much 18 of the 20 or so championships, 25 of the something championships or whatever. So we have representation from the Great Neck team. We have representation from, I guess, Meridian / Woodmere Lobos. I don't know what you guys are called. And then as well as the Bombers. So I think Seth just texted me. He's going to be, okay. I was Abish. Okay.
What did you say about Seth, Steve?
No, Abish said he's going to jump on that link now.
Seth is
Okay.
like the Bill
I'm gonna-
Mazeroski, right? He has
Seth's going to be
the shot heard
impossible.
around the
I'm
world.
just telling you, Seth's going
Is
to be impossible.
Seth going in as an owner? I mean, what were you putting in?
He's
I'm
like
gonna
Billy
jump
Martin.
off.
Billy Martin was a
I'm
great
going to
player.
jump off, but thank you guys.
All right, sweet.
And, it should be fun.
Congrats,
It should be
buddy.
fun.
Welcome aboard.
Svi, good luck in the
Thank you all.
tournament.
Tremendous respect for all of you.
Thanks.
Good
Send
luck,
in the chat.
Svi.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Love you
Bye.
guys. Bye.
So, you know what Zuko reminded me of?
What?
Well, I saw a video once somebody was getting in trouble for driving without a license. So
Yeah.
you saw this?
The
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's
He doesn't
mute.
know he's still
Let's
on. I
mute
love it.
Steve.
Oh,
Good stuff you got here. All right, guys. Very good job, I think. Svi's well deserved.
I just got intrigued by something though. So Yehuda, you were in Manavu, you said.
yes.
So you were you were from the firmer elements of this of this region.
I guess we'll call it right wing, but whatever. Okay. Because
don't
I would
mind
say
being-
I'd say the frumest guy on this call. I don't really know you, David, or
No,
Avi
no.
in that regard, but I think Steve Powell's a pretty frum guy.
I grew up.
Oh,
That's not
my
how I
God.
meant to frame it, but I'll come back to it.
Oh,
Okay.
we got Abish on.
Wow.
Okay.
David,
Good
you
job,
wearing a
Glenn.
Mets hat?
What's that? No, it's my work hat. It's not a golf. I don't golf.
Gotcha.
I don't golf.
Gotcha.
You look like you golf.
Nah,
Not yet. We're working on it. We're working on it still.
I never golfed in my life.
Steve, he'd be good at that too.
Steve, you want to take the lead on this one? Or you want me to do it?
So wait a second. I'm in the middle of something here at work, and I get this 911 from
Okay.
Holland. So anytime
All
Holland
right.
asks for me, I'm on.
Glenn,
Go ahead.
you've been good. Glenn, you got
Wait
the pitch down. You got it. You got it down.
All right.
Glenn, you said you delivered him.
Abish.
Yeah.
Abish.
Yeah.
Did you not come on because I texted you?
Wow. Wow. You know what? It's true. When I see Glenn, I don't see Glenn that often on a text, so I knew it must have been important.
There you go. All right. Well, here's the situation, David.
Yeah.
Through the guidance of our commissioners of the Sunday Softball League, we have established a Jewish Softball Hall of Fame,
Okay.
and the first group of inductees include you.
Oh, wow.
So
Honored.
congratulations.
I'm honored. Thank
Um,
you. Thank you.
Yes, we have Yehuda Koenig on here as well. He is in the class, as well as Steve and myself. And we
Wow.
have Tzvi Weil was on here a second ago. And we have one more coming on in a second.
Yeah.
But to be eligible, the criteria was you had to be playing softball for more than 12 years at a very, very high level, among the best in the game.
Right.
You had to have won championships. And you clearly fall into all of those categories. You're still playing at a high level, even though you say you're not, but you really are. But in your heyday, and I think all of us, our heydays was, let's say, the early 2000s until 2000, let's call it 15.
Right.
You were by far the best shortstop that the league has seen, no question about it.
Wow.
And offensively as well, you were batting 1 or 2 on every team you played on. Getting on base, your range at shortstop for, by comparison, was the best that we've seen, and I think it's my pleasure to say to you that you're a very, very deserving inductee into this group of candidates into the Hall of Fame. So congratulations.
I am honored. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate what a history here. Wow. All these guys. It's true. It's nice to be recognized for my glove, not my bat. I'm like the Ozzie Smith,
Ozzie Smith,
my glove
baby.
and not my
The
bat.
Ozzie Smith.
Yeah, so
David even started catching in later years, which was to me a total waste of his talent.
not for me.
Glenn, I disagree.
I like
Glenn,
it.
I disagree. You try to pitch to him. It's a pleasure.
It's
Well,
amazing.
I'll tell you the truth. The reason why I started to catch was very simply, you know me, Glenn, and you know me, Pollen, and Yehuda, you know me. Whatever it takes to win. So that's the bottom line. I could care less about ego. It doesn't matter. So if nobody wanted to catch, I'll do it. I don't care. As I got older, I realized that.
It's funny. I think the theme.
That's exactly right.
I think the
And
common
the stories,
theme you can have in all
we
these
can
guys
take so
on
many
throughout
stories
different
of
podcasts
to what level
that
people
they're
went
just
to
going
in
do
order
whatever
to
it takes
win.
to win. Like there's
One
nothing
of the
else
people
other
that's
than
not
that.
in
There's
this
no
Hall of Fame
I want
class,
to
I'm
play
not
this,
going
I
to
want to play
mention his
that, I
name.
want to,
He was
I want
running
to
a
pitch
team.
this,
He
I want to
actually
pitch that.
faked
Just
a funeral so
win,
that
win.
he could push a game off. Okay, like I mean, it went to that extreme in order to have the best chance of winning. But let me just finish about David, and I want Steven to talk. But we last saw David, and Avi, you were there. We last saw David in the final at bat of the season, where he had trouble getting out of home plate and pulled his hamstring, and it looked pretty bad. But I've been told from my sources that David is completely rehabbed and he will be back next season. David, please confirm.
100%. I'm playing now. I'm ready to go.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Well, that's what I felt at that moment. That's the truth. But you know what? At the end of the day, I was pissed off. We got back home,
scared because
and
I have
like an hour later,
I have
the
on
phone
video
calls were starting.
actually.
Like, that's it. We're
Find
coming back.
I have a
That's
video.
it.
You make
got
a
to
comment
rehab.
after you
That's it. We're not
fell.
going out like this.
This may have been it
And
for
that
me.
was the end of that. So that
So-
lasted
So what's
for
amazing
about
about
14
David-
seconds.
Quickly, what's amazing about David is that he's such a winner on the softball field, yet his baseball team, the Mets, are such losers. So, everyone has flaws. That might be his. But Steven, can you take the mic and tell us a lot about you've played with David more than anyone.
So as Yehuda was saying with you, Glenn, Abish and I have been playing literally since Little League. We had this in an earlier podcast that Abish is the best Little League pitcher of all time. And I have never faced Abish. There's like 2 or 3 players in the history of the league I've never faced. Abish is one of them. And I will never face him because we go together. It's a package. You get me, you get Abish, and that's how it works out. So,
Yep.
Abish, in the Hall of Fame discussion preface of this, I said, and I stand by it, that if there was a Jewish softball draft, all-time draft of players, non-pitchers in the history of the league, you are unequivocally the number 1 draft pick overall, and there's not even a second thought about that.
Wow.
And
I think Steve Weil wants to jump back on. He might have something to say about that.
He's a phenomenal player and one of the greatest hitters of all time. But when it comes to a shortstop and an infielder, they control the game, they play defense, and as great of a hitter as Svi is, outfielder, he's a great fielder as well. But there's only so much an outfielder can do by himself. An infielder the shortstop controls everything. He's a captain out there. He's also my personal therapist.
He keeps the pitcher sane. Yeah.
Which there's rumor has it that sometimes I may need a little help on the mound.
Well, Steve, I had a lot of practice because before you was Avram. So.
Yeah, well, at least compared to Avram, I'm normal, so that's good.
That's true, 100%.
There's something we should do a whole podcast about how these pitchers are all nuts.
Yeah.
And like the type
of goalies, right? Goalies and pitchers.
Hey, Glenn, there's been very little therapy with me. Come on.
No, you've been good. You just refused to walk a guy with an open base.
Oh my God, that was bad.
Wow. But that's, listen, it's true.
I have a question.
It's a big honor. I'll tell you the truth. Like, that's true. I've never faced pollen, and I never will. And whatever. We got lucky. I mean, we've been best friends, and our mothers have been best friends since we're in 5th grade, since they're in 5th grade. So we grew up together. We played on every team together, and whatever. I just, he was the pitcher, I was the shortstop, and let's roll. And it just worked out. We played on a lot of great teams together. It was a lot of fun, still a lot of fun. But I wish I was about 25 years younger right now, because there's a lot of guys that are playing now that like have big mouths.
My question for the elder statesman over here, and I'm glad Abish brought that up about the younger players with big mouths. How does a prime David Abish compare to, let's say, a Moshe Zinn or some of the other top shortstops that we see?
Watch this answer.
He doesn't even know who Moshe Zinn is.
Exactly.
Moshe Zinn. Let me say this. I don't know who this guy is, but I can guarantee there was nobody better than us in terms of trash talk. I knew exactly what buttons to push under whose skin I needed to get to. That's all. That's the truth.
As Yehuda Koenig could attest, Yehuda Koenig's first year having a playoff run, he ran into the Bombers in our prime, and it was not a pretty scene for the Koenig head. And
we're talking
into the league, and he grew up
strictly
very
short
quickly getting into the league.
Yehuda.
That was at the field in Queens.
Yeah.
Yehuda, why don't you tell him the story about when we played against each other for all those times? It was the first
My
time
favorite story.
We played on the same team. What I said to you when you turned around and said something.
It's my favorite story.
Yeah, tell him. You can tell him.
Okay. Listen, I think I tell this well. I tell this one well. So I've had this similar occurrence with a few people. David Abish always played a very deep shortstop. We were playing in the city together. I got brought down by Penny Wallfish to play with you guys.
Wow.
And so it's the first inning. The leadoff guy gets out, and then I turn around and I notice that Abish is like at the back of the dirt. So I motion to him like, "Hey, Dave, maybe take a step or two in." I mean, he doesn't move. He just like looks at me like I got three heads. So I turn around again. I go, "Hey, Dave, maybe take a step in." He walks over to the mound and he proceeds to say the following. He's like, "Why don't you just pitch the ball, and the first guy that I don't throw out at first and I miss, then I'll take a step in. Until then, let me play my shortstop and you just go and pitch." Nobody was safe at first that game.
Yeah, that's true.
And since then, Dave, we've gotten along great.
Yeah, there was a ball hit deep. I threw the guy out by half a step. I walked into the dugout and I said, "Now turn around and shut up and pitch."
I think you said that also. That sounds more like, yeah, that was after.
I knew you gave us the clean version of that.
That's the clean version.
No,
Right.
but Dave, we've played great. I got to tell you, it's been this group starting in the Queens League. I got to play with a lot of these guys, and I've had like a balky knee for years, and so it was a pleasure because originally it was all double headers. So Steve and I were going to split the games, which was fantastic. So I didn't have to pitch two games on a Sunday, and if we both there, Steve could pitch, and I really always took pride that I could play the outfield. And Abish and I really had a really nice rapport. It was really it was such a pleasure like joining the team and playing with all these guys that I never played with before. I'd only played against them. Again, only Glenn. Glenn's the only one I have a 0 for 0 against.
Yeah.
Well, let me interrupt you guys.
Crazy.
What position does Weil play, and also Seth?
Svi was a center fielder when he first came up. Now he plays first base, and Seth played right field.
Okay, so this something that I started to become more aware of. It's so hard to find top tier talent on the left side of the infield, and maybe it's not a surprise that in the opening class we only have one shortstop. That's
not true.
I would think is David Bloom going to get a phone call?
He's going to get a phone call in a couple of years, I think. But it's not true because a lot of us were shortstops that moved. David stayed, but I'm sure Steve at one point, back in the day was third base.
Yeah, but Glenn, David Abish was the only one good enough to play at that level. That's
Correct.
why.
I'm saying, I remember Steve played third for a while.
No, first of all, I played outfield. First of all, when I first started playing, Abish pitched, and I played shortstop in Little League. And then Abish, even in high school,
I guess the question
softball,
was
I
if
pitched
Steve
Abish played the
stays
outfield.
at third, would he
And then
have
one
been
summer he came
the
home
same
from
Steve
Camp La
Collin
Vie,
as he is
and he said,
now?
"All right, Steve, I'm
He's
playing
like, that's
shortstop
the
now, and that's it. I'm the shortstop." I'm like, "All right, fine, let's figure it out." And he comes down. All of a sudden, this guy goes from playing outfield to becoming Ozzie Smith. And I wasn't pitching full time at this point in these leagues. I was playing mostly outfield. So I was playing center field. I was fast. Abish played short. And then it got to the point where when I started pitching a little bit here and there, like Dave Mandel would pitch one game, I pitch the other, and I would just play the position where we needed a guy for that game. I played second. I played third. I played the outfield. I played whatever, like Abish said before, whatever we needed to do to win. So that's kind of how it went. But there's other left side of the infielders that are definitely qualified to make it, but they just haven't played enough. I mean, I haven't played now, so they're not qualified to get into the initial class. But guys like Brescher,
we'll get to them.
Bloom, there's some fantastic left side infielder guys.
Yeah. No, listen.
I should point out that there wasn't a lot of competition in Camp La Vie at shortstop, I'm sure. So that's why David took it over.
Right.
No, but Avi, to answer your question, and David, I think part of the issue is that what you just said is right. It is really hard to find. And I got to tell you, growing up, if I didn't pitch, I played shortstop. And most of the guys you would find were at the top level guys for what they played. But it was, okay, well, this guy is going to play here. You can only have one shortstop. But I will say, the thing and Colin's heard me say it 1,000 times. I always say now, I wouldn't want to be pitching with me playing shortstop. So, no, I'm serious. You play with a guy like Abish or David Bloom. It's by the way, I've seen Moshe Zinn play. I see these young kids. What's their names? They're brothers. Avi, I think they play Roka. I mean, they're fantastic. And even what's his name's kid is fantastic. Cuss. I mean, just another level. I mean, just another level of good.
So all these guys are
fantastic.
All these guys are great talents, and they they have great arms and they can make plays. But you need also you need this to play. And
Sure.
Penny
Yeah.
Wolfish would make the greatest play you've ever seen in your life at shortstop.
Yeah.
But
Right.
at the end of the day, I always say this: I don't need you to make those plays. I mean, Abish,
Just
thank
make
God,
the plays you should play.
make the regular plays. As a pitcher, just make the plays and don't miss the plays you shouldn't make, and don't throw the ball stupidly, and don't make an error into a 2-3 base
Prevent the
error.
big innings. Prevent the big innings.
So
Yeah,
most
errors are like a pitcher's nightmare.
Yeah. So most of those guys that you spoke about are great players. They don't all have that. They haven't all learned. They still have to let the ego calm down and let the game come to them a little bit more. But they will. They exactly. But Abish never had those learning curves. That's the difference. He was always the smartest guy in the field, and he always made the play. I mean, I don't remember him making bad plays.
I'm sure that partly comes with time.
I wonder if you guys remember this. Dave, you remember we played you guys at the Lawrence Middle School on the big field in a semifinal playoff years ago.
Right.
And to me, it stands out. We were in extra innings in the second or third game. Glenn, do you remember he made a play up the middle where Abish we thought the game was over. We had a winning run on third, and there was a smash up the middle, and he made this play where he came across the bag and somehow turned a double play, and the inning was over. You remember that, Glenn? You remember that?
I vaguely remember that. What just came to my mind is
Glenn's here. Yes.
Yeah, Glenn's on the right side. David fell off.
What comes to mind with David is
Yeah.
Sure.
Where's Glenn? Is he here? Oh, okay. Glenn, where's Glenn? I don't see him. So Dave fell off. So we actually have.
I guess.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, he's not here.
Okay, so we have one more
I can't get him on.
inductee who we're having trouble getting a hold of currently. So I don't know, Steve. You could tell me what you want to do. We could just talk about him here and just leave it as is and wrap up. Should we do that?
Thank you.
We already brought it up at the beginning. This is really sort of a part two. So we already brought it up in the original podcast that we did. So we can leave it here. Mr. Abish, Mr. Koenig, and Steve, thanks for coming on. Glenn, I don't see you in my picture, but if you're on here, and I appreciate it. And again, like I said before, I really think that it's one thing to play softball, which is great, but to build a community and a family and have, be able to, acknowledge talents that have been in the leagues for forever, I think really takes these leagues to like new heights, new opportunities. It really creates more of a family. So everyone gets to be in 15 years or 20 years from now, David Abish, Steve Pollen, Yehuda Koenig, they're all inducted into the Hall of Fame. And you have a guy like,
you're doing a great job, Avi.
6
You're
years
doing a great
inducted,
job,
and
honestly.
guys in between just creates much more of a family. And if this grows and blows up, like I said, these leagues in Deal and Jersey, they do it in person. There's 70 to 100 guys showing up for inducting the Hall of Fame.
Even though I have to schlep every week to Westchester, but I still do it. And I'm still married. Thank you.
Avi, who's the other inductee? I'm just curious now.
The last inductee, as you guys all know, is the greatest clutch hitter in the history of Jewish softball.
Oh, God.
Mr. Awesome, Seth, you don't pitch to me in that spot.
You can't pitch to me?
Awesome.
You
Thanks
can't
for coming
pitch
on,
to
guys.
me?
The king of the walk-off.
Steve, you want to reveal it for them?
Hits, homers, triples, doubles, singles.
Yeah, of course.
So, I was telling Steve, and this is again, like we did a podcast basically talking about you guys, so you'll be able to watch that. And now this is really letting you guys know. I was telling Steve that when I was hearing about Seth, I never got to see him, in his prime. So I always viewed him as an okay player, a solid player. But like, when Steve brought up Mr. Clutch, I remember from the championship game.
Thank you so much.
Seth barely played all season.
Quite an honor.
He gets up there and he gets two of the biggest hits, in the final innings. I think it game 2 of the championships. For me, it became 3 of the championships. Game 3 of the championships, and I'm like, yeah, there you go. Everything comes full circle. Okay, thanks, guys. We appreciate it. And we're looking forward to a great season coming up. Thanks, guys. All right, bye.